Hello and welcome to Hui Uda, an unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. I am one of your hosts, Cameron, and today I'm here with Ben. How are you doing today, Ben?
I am doing well, It's Christmas Eve. We decorated our tree today.
Really? You decorate the tree on Christmas Eve?
It's happened before. Usually we don't, but we got our Christmas tree yesterday evening. We had a lot of things going on and we just kept putting it off. I'm a whole family procrastinators, Cam.
I feel that my family put it up in I think it was Sunday. We waited very long this year for some reason. Well, not some reason. It was just fucking chaos.
We just got a little tree though, so it only took us like 5 minutes to decorate.
But I imagine you got a real tree.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm allergic to pine, so
Ah,
I can't. I had we did it the one Christmas when I was like a child, and then we learned from that I just sneezed the whole time, and I'm fine with being around it, but I can't sleep with it.
damn.
My allergies will just kill me.
I get that. I like having a real plant as opposed some people don't like the hassle of it. They just like a fake tree that they can put up every year, but I like having a real living plant in the space. It's nice.
Must be nice. I'll never be
I'm so
able
sorry,
to.
Cam.
You're rubbing in that my disability right in front of me, Ben.
Ah, I mean for the people at home.
But today, we're not gonna be reviewing a Christmas special.
No,
We're
sadly.
not gonna be reviewing a episode of classic Doctor Who. Well,
I mean, yes, it is.
it's kind of a classic Doctor Who episode, but, we're doing an episode that was came out in 2024, Ben.
I know, it's crazy.
Doctor Who: The War Games in Color. We just watched it. I watched it yesterday when it came out. You said you watched it today, right?
Yeah, I watched it about 10 minutes ago.
Coming fresh off the plate. Usually, you're the one that's behind, and I'm the one that just comes fresh.
I know.
Before we get into Doctor Who: The War Games in Color, let's just give our thoughts on the Daleks in Color, because I think that before we can get into it, for just give somebody some background, I think it's necessary to be able to go review what we thought a year ago when we watched the first time they did this.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the 2 productions for sure.
But last year, Ben, what did you think of the Daleks in Color?
I thought it was okay. Like, the colorization, I don't know who does it, if it's, like, Babel Color or somebody.
He just did the he didn't he's not involved in these ones.
Damn.
It's a whole team of people that do it nowadays.
But yeah, the colorization of the Daleks looked really good. Very vibrant. The Dalek city has a lot of like great color to it. People's clothing, very, very pretty. It falls apart because they decided to re-edit it, taking a 7-part, 140 odd minute story down to like 70, which yeah, there's definitely filler in the Daleks, but there is also important stuff that needs to be there for it to make sense. And a lot of that stuff was cut out. It was really weirdly edited. Like, I can picture even now, there's like a whole episode that was reduced to like 90-second montage of just like, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene. And if I hadn't seen the actual story, I would have no idea what just happened. And I'm assuming you echo a lot of those similar thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I remember in particular that montage, and, that montage will stay with me. I think there's a particular moment where Susan, winks at the camera, and they really emphasize it, I don't think that it was that great of a success, except for, of course, the colorization looked amazing, but at the end of the day, I would never rewatch it. If I wanted to rewatch the Daleks, I would just put on the Daleks again.
If I wanted to watch the Daleks, but, like, quickly or maybe if I, like, wanted to, like, half watch it, like, put it on the background while I was doing something else. I'm not really paying attention to it, but every now and then I can look over and say, "Oh, yeah, I remember that." That would be a good use case, I think.
But you could also just, in that use case, also watch the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, that was kind of a unique thing, though, because that could
Yeah.
only be said for this and one other serial.
It was weird. I didn't particularly love it. The things that it did well was the colorization and they did somehow make it to be that short runtime, which I understand makes sense because you only have so much time that you can spend on colorizing the frames, right?
Yeah.
But it just lost everything that made it special in a way. And also, we have to talk about the music that they just made the music so extreme. I felt out of place with the
Yeah,
story.
it was just really, like, over the top, very, like, out of place because it was very, like, orchestral, grand, and that's not something they could do in the '60s.
No.
It felt very overlaid on top. It didn't really ever seamlessly blend with what's there.
No, not at all.
And also the mixing, because it has to be louder than whatever music was already there. So the music ends up being very prominent.
And now I remember back at that time, we were discussing because there's like one frame at the end of Patrick Troughton. And we both were very much like, all right, what's going to be the next one? And we had this
Yeah.
conversation. You were right in the middle of your Troughton watch.
Yep.
And I thought the big one was like, no, they should do Tomb. Tomb, it makes sense because Tomb is already a four potter. It's tight. It's Cyberman story, so you can just promote it as the big Cyberman story
Very well loved.
and it just already works. You just have to do a couple of tweaks, bring it down to like a tight runtime. It would be fantastic. Of course, the downside with that being like it wouldn't be the greatest thing to colorize because a lot of it is already silver and gray.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's like something that you would be able to really give it color. But just colorizing Patrick Troughton would make that story like I would just love that. I think you were on the same page as me that Tomb of the Cybermen would be an awesome one to colorize, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, everyone dreaded and feared that they were going to instead do the war games and cut the war games down. And then they announced a couple of months ago, and not even a couple months ago, it was like a month ago,
Yeah.
that they did it. They were mad enough to cut down the 10-pot epic finale of the second Doctor. So just to get into credits real quick, the lead guy that does it is Rich Tipple. He's the lead colorization artist. And then there is, at least on the war games, there was 5 other people that were involved with for the colorization artist. And then they were all re-edited by Benjamin Cook. Benjamin Cook is pretty famous in the Doctor Who world from being one, a little bit too much on Twitter, and then two, he did the probably the greatest behind the scenes book on Doctor Who. I still need to read. Andrew Cotmell did a book of like his journal throughout the Seventh Doctor run. But what Benjamin Cook did was he did the writers' room with Russell T Davies, and what it is basically an email chain between him and Russell T Davies during Series 4, and it just breaks down everything from behind the scenes of Russell basically writing and producing season 4 of Doctor Who of the new series. And it's just an incredible document because you really don't get that much of a day to day behind the scenes of just television and movies in general. So it's so cool to read it to be like, okay, this happened in the Blues auction today. I'm in this script. I'm stuck on this page. I don't know what to do. It's a such incredible resource for just anyone that likes just that's interested in TV production or movie production.
Interesting.
And Benjamin Cook was in that. He also writes a few articles in Doc 2 magazine. But now he's now doing these re-edits. I imagine because he's friends with Russell T Davies. So Ben, now that I just went on that little tyrant, Ben, what did you think of the War Games in color?
So I watched the War Games more recently than you, I'm assuming.
For reference, I watched it back in high school, which would have been like 2018, 2017. So it's
Yeah.
been at least 6 to 7 years.
I think this does a better job of capturing at least the gist of the original War Games than the Daleks in Color did for the Daleks. It's a huge story, and I'm glad they did 90 minutes instead of 70 minutes again. You lose a lot of stuff with the side characters, but the like main plot is mostly intact. The beginning, like first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes, or the equivalent of them, are pretty intact. It gets a little bit more muddled in the middle, where there's a lot of jumping from scene to scene with all the connecting continuity is lost. But the most important bits at the beginning and end are pretty much there. Like the whole trial is pretty much untouched.
Like you do miss in the original Jamie and Zoe are like they have an attempt to rescue the doctor.
Yeah.
And then that just completely cut, which makes sense because you don't really need that attempt to save him from the Time Lords.
And of course, the colorization is very good. Maybe I was just being picky. I noticed a couple more imperfections than I remember seeing in the Daleks in color. And I think that it feels like it made less of an impact. Like the dogs in color, like with the Dalek City, has a lot of like really interesting things you can do with color. This is a lot of grays and greens and dark colors. Not as eye catching, but it still looks quite good.
Okay, I'm gonna say my thoughts before you get more into it.
Yeah. What do you think?
So I pretty much echo you. I think this is better than the Daleks in color. It is much better than that, I would say. Just from the editing standpoint, it works tighter as a story. If you're giving a little bit more room, and like I think the Daleks in color without any context, I think would be much more difficult to watch than this and with no context. But I still think that it suffers from like that TikTokification of the war games. It is just scene after scene after scene after scene after scene. I had to stop halfway through it to take a break because I was like gonna get whiplash because it was going so fast. I needed just a break and a pause because like it was tiresome.
Yeah, that was definitely the pacing is hurt a lot. A lot of the side character stuff, which is technically less important, helps kind of break things up. And there's a lot of great scenes there. Like we missed the Doctor using his sonic screwdriver for the second time. That's not in here. And if I had seen this without seeing the War Games before, I wouldn't be as lost as I would be for the Daleks in color. But I would definitely, I we would feel pretty jarring.
Definitely. I think also like just that pacing just it hurts it in the ways of I remember watching it for the first time and those cliffhangers of especially those first two of the cliffhanger of the doctor being on execution.
Yeah.
And then the second one being the introduction of the Romans. And I forget if it's a cliffhanger or not, but just the reveal of the TARDIS. Like that they had like another TARDIS basically.
The side rat?
Like, those are such big moments in that original series, but I felt like in this one, just because of the way the pacing is, you don't feel those moments as much.
Yeah, it loses a lot of that impact without the cut to credits.
Yeah, but also just, like, it just giving us that extra context. It's paced for those moments, like you said, paced for that credit, and, like, when you have someone like a David Maloney that is a great director and great at pacing, it just hurts when, like, you have to fuck with that pacing.
Yeah.
But I think that the colorization is beautiful, like you said. I think I prefer this over to Doctor and the Daleks colorization, just because this one didn't feel as extreme. With the Daleks colorization, there was moments I felt like they just added color to it because they needed to add color to it.
Yeah.
With this one, I felt like they did less of that. There's still some moments I'm like, you don't have to add color here, but for the most part, I felt like that they stuck to what would have looked like. And I think one of the best things you could say about the colorization of this episode is that I think it's so good that if you told somebody that this wasn't a colorization, I don't think that they would even tell the difference.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's definitely more subtle, but it could definitely be seen as a plus where it's not distracting, where you can just watch the story and it just looks good.
There's a magic to being able to see Patrick Troughton in color.
Oh, yes.
And, like, especially, like, his face is just it's wonderful, and, like, I don't know if you saw, but they found some like, the editor was on a podcast, and they were able to get them in touch with Benjamin Cook or somebody else in the production team, I forget, or I'm just gonna say Benjamin Cook, and they were able to get, like, the film strips from the original, like, edit that the editor still had from the War Games. So, like, they were able to reuse that footage to be able to do the colorization. So that's why some of it looks really clean and clear because like they were able to actually find the 16 millimeter footage
Yeah,
from the war games,
that's cool.
which I kind of hope that that's they gonna have that on the whatever the season 6 Blu-ray is gonna be. I hope that they still kept they scan the files anyway, so I hope that they use them again for
Yeah.
that Blu-ray because that's gonna look gorgeous. Didn't look fuzzy, especially when you compare to classic Doctor Who. Sometimes, like when you have those episodes, that's like when it's like when I can't find the DVD rip or the DVD rip is a low quality DVD rip from like the one of the first DVDs. It's like it's very soft.
Yeah.
I think one of the big complaints also with this one that the Dalek suffered and this suffers is the score.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing I said earlier. It's very in your face. It's very loud.
Inconstant.
It's constant, over the top, almost over dramatic. Like, I remember watching it, and there's a scene of one of the general guys. He's like going into his office to look at the television thing, and it's like the huge bombastic score. And I'm like, he's just walking around, nothing's happening. What do you so I also thought it felt like it's very grand, but it also felt kinda flat, like it was synthesized in a computer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely that.
Not like a real it's trying to be orchestral, but it wasn't clearly wasn't a recording. It was something that was synthesized, and it felt weird and wrong.
And while talking about music, we have to talk about first things first. We have like we're gonna talk about the end stuff, but there's also something that the story does that I don't know how much you got out of it. Because of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not familiar with us, Ben has not seen New Who. He's only seen up to now. It would be Malcolm Mandragora.
Yeah.
So
I didn't pick up on it when I was watching it, but I did see on the TARDIS wiki that they added
yeah.
some motifs of future masters to appearances of the other Time Lord, or what we thought was a different Time Lord, of the War Chief.
So did you not pick up on the Deadly Simpson one?
Didn't pay attention.
So there is a moment that they did use the Deadly Simpson Master
Yeah.
cue, but the big one is that they used the Marigold John Sims Master. They used his theme from Last of the Time Lords and the Sound of Drums, and like you can definitely tell that. I don't know how much you noticed while watching it, but like it is different from everything else because it is orchestral. One, and then two, if not really well used because they can't orchestrate this music. So they just have to use whatever on the CD. So it's just like the CD version of these songs. It's not like they were even able to get like the raw files of
Uh,
the recording. Like it's just literally like what's on the CD. And so it felt so much like as a kid I would watch Doctor Who action figure and like Lego animations, like fan made videos. And that's what it felt like just because they would always reuse the scores from the TV show. And that's what it felt like. It was just like, oh my god, I know. I stop it. And also, I don't know about you, Ben, but I do not like the war chief as the master. I think that's dumb.
it's a retcon, or I think it's been alluded to in other places, but my headcanon, I like it more that it's a different guy. Because one, they don't ever like acknowledge it.
No, they do mention they have a line that says that they do recognize each other, so they is past history.
Yeah, doesn't have to be the master though.
No,
I was looking on Twitter, or no, I was looking on Reddit, I think, of people talking about the episode. And it's one guy said, I don't know, it kind of shrinks the universe down to just a bunch of incarnations of the same two people.
yeah, it's the Star Warsification. It's like everyone's a Skywalker.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, they has to be the master.
I think it's fine to just have another evil Time Lord.
It's kind of cooler that he's a different Time Lord.
Yeah,
And then he has that history with the Doctor. It's like, all right, that's cool. Big Finish to give us a story with them.
yeah.
But like, no, he has to be the master, of course. I kind of liked it also when it was just a theory. And I guess like Benjamin Cook tried to play it off as like, well, it still can be a theory. We never particularly say it is, but like every single time he's on screen, that cube gets played. And at the same time, like I said, they also play the Dudley Simpson version of it. It's like, no, this guy is totally you're just implying that he's the master.
Has Big no, it doesn't look like Big I was just looking just for fun, because it seems like something they would do.
Oh yeah.
Big Finish for the War Chief. I know the other kinda Time Lord, the Monk, the Big Finish has really ran with and done a
Oh
lot
yeah.
with. They need to get on that with the War Chief.
Well, now they're not. They're just gonna now they're gonna give us the War Chief Master box set.
Yeah, I don't know. I kinda agree with what you're saying. In a lot of ways, this feels like kind of a fan production.
Yes. And that let's just talk about the other things that they add to it. So, in order, let's talk about the first they we had the moment where
The faces.
I remember like watching a fan made version of it where somebody implemented like when he says they hit oh no he's too old and show Peter Capaldi and like oh no he's too thin and it's David Tennant oh he's too young it's Matt Smith. I
Yeah.
think they even went to the extreme though of if I remember the video correctly let me see if I can find it but I think they went to the extreme of even drawing them so like it actually fit. They didn't do that.
Yeah. Instead, what they did is they found, like, some of the big promo photos from each of the eras and just cut them out and kind of pasted it on there, and it's like there's some, like, transparency artifacts even. It doesn't look good.
Oh, the big thing that pisses me off and, like, just bugs me, like, if I was on this production, I would, like, immediately be like, "No, you can't do that." It's the screwdrivers. Like, they have the sonic screwdrivers and, like, Jodie has the fob watch. It's like, "No, that makes no sense."
Why would the Time Lords have pictures of that?
So dumb. This one, like I'm gonna say I found the video, but yeah, the person that did it either did a filter over the pictures or they actually drew it. I think it's probably just a filter. But like it's such a better version of that moment that a fan did. over an official production.
Yeah, it's just a filter,
Yeah.
but instantly it even just doing that little looks way better.
But also, like, even, like, I wouldn't even do what he did where, like, there was still, like, the costumes. It's like, it should just be the face.
Yeah.
Because again, it doesn't make sense that they have the costumes.
Yeah, they shoulda, like, paid a guy, like, $50 and just to draw these couple actors' faces if they really wanna commit to this bit. They also cut a line. He's called one of the faces too fat, and that's not in this.
The like, it would have been funny if it was just, like, a modern, like, Colin Baker, but they would never do that.
But yeah, it felt weird. Like, it was kinda funny, but, like, it doesn't fit.
No. And at the same point, they did have, like, they reused one shot from Hellbent, but then they also I did see online that I immediately saw that realized that it was new footage of Gallifrey. And somebody did that worked at the mill, who's like what's like the VFX production for Doctor Who special effects, did do a new shot of the Gallifrey.
Yeah, I thought that those establishing shots looked kinda good.
Some of them are reused from the show later on, but then one of them in particular is new. And also, just since we're on model shots, I guess I was just bring it up before we move on to the big ending. The model of like I forget what the name of it is, but like the
The
war chiefs, the
headquarters.
headquarters, yeah, like that model is fantastic. They did a great job making that model. It looks
It looks good. It's definitely CGI, but they did a good job to kinda make it look.
no, it's a model.
Is it a real
Yeah,
it's a real model. Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was just CGI that did a really good job trying to make it look like a real model. The big problem is they they did, like, 2, maybe 3 shots of that model, but they do this establishing shot, like, every 10 minutes. So we see the same 3 shots, like, 3 times each.
That fits with classic Doctor Who.
I get to see the plane in the corner take off just over and over and over.
But again, that fits with classic Doctor Who so much, but like that's what I want. And like it's and also like there was a couple shots of like the TARDIS that they did, and like that looked great with the model.
The TARDIS and the side rat in space, those look good.
I'm kind of iffy about the vortex. It looks fine. I think that they could have done a somewhat of a better job, but I understand the budget's probably tight.
Yeah.
And then like, do you want to talk about the ending, or should we talk about anything else before we move on to the ending?
Let's just go to the ending. I was reading, like, on the official website and said, "Oh my god, they're gonna do an official regeneration scene for the Second Doctor. That's so cool." And then I watched it and I was like, "Wait a minute. I've already seen this because it's been on YouTube for over a year." They took, or I mean, not took, I'm assuming they've got the guy's permission and, yeah, it's awesome. He's in an official BBC thing. But it was a little underwhelming to just see a very well done, mind you, YouTube video that I saw a year ago, just cropped to 4:3.
I'm kind of confused. I didn't what I had never seen this video. I think.
You haven't? It came up in my feed really early in my Doctor Who journey. The confession dial. I think the guy is Jacob Booth. September of last year. It's literally this. I mean, there's a little bit at the beginning that they didn't use, like the first 30 seconds, and then they redid the vortex for this at like TARDIS moving through space. But the rest is pretty much just the same thing, but cropped to 4:3.
Yeah, I never saw this. I
So
think.
this is a fan production that was integrated into the official.
No, the guy did. Now that I know that context, the guy does a great job.
Oh, yeah,
But like my complaint with it was that it feels like a fan made film that I would watch as a kid.
because it is.
Because now that makes sense that it fucking really is. And like even down to like I was gonna say like even down to that moment where we had like the little like scanner that goes not scanner but like the little
Like
computer
1970, 1980,
1980. It's
like,
like of course, like fans are gonna go. I understand that. I get that, but like I'm just picturing like some person that's just watching BBC Four being like, "What the fuck is that?"
yeah, what does that mean?
Like they do add like I'm watching it now. Like they added there's like that one shot of Earth that we get the Nestine crashing down to Earth. Did you see that?
Oh, do we get the Nestine?
Yeah, we like in the shot that's the task going down to Earth, but at the same time we see the little meteorites of the going down,
Oh, I didn't notice that.
which is very cool. Shout out to that. That's a great idea.
The, like, stuff in space is new, but the stuff in the TARDIS.
No, but, like, now that I understand the full context, great job, the confession dial, but even they even kinda stole that in introducing John Pertwee as Doctor Who, but, it's obviously you can kinda tell while watching it that this is just a glorified fan film.
Yeah, cutting out some archive footage to put it into a new context with some 3D models and CGI in Blender to get it a cool little 3-minute fan film.
Yeah. I don't know, it's cool that it's there, but also it's like, kinda like, did we need that, Ben? The regeneration that's been missing all these years, after 50 plus years,
No.
was that really needed?
It also kills 6B, like, all the big Finish stuff. It seemingly definitively says, "Yep, the, like, spinning head stuff, that was him getting transported to the TARDIS."
Well, what so basically, they're gonna retcon it being like, "Well, actually"
And then he was just in there, and then, like, 30 seconds after his exile, he was laying in the wood.
it would be funny if, like, every single time that the show contradicts Big Finish has to go back and delete that stuff because it's no longer canon.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, fuck, Mary Shelley," because I don't know how much you're aware of it, but, like, one of the big contradictions is that Mary Shelley is one of the companion. You know who Mary Shelley is, right?
No.
Mary Shelley is the author of Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
She is a companion of the Eighth Doctor in Big Finish for a season. There's an episode of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who where she is meets Mary Shelley, so it just contradicts that whole series.
Damn.
Poor Big Finish. But anyways, any last thoughts about Doctor Who in the War Games? It exists, Ben. We watched it.
It does. I don't know, do you hope they do more?
I want them so to do Tomb. I think Tomb would still be a dope one to do.
What else would you want? Daleks' Invasion of Earth?
Maybe, but, like, even that one, it's like it wouldn't be, like, a must. I would say Tomb of the Cybermen, them finally colorizing that first episode of The Invasion of Dinosaurs.
Hasn't it?
No, that's like, it's like a fake version of it, remember? It looks really bad, that colorization. That would be cool. Now that season 7 is announced, that's the last Sean Pertwee Blu-ray. So they're gonna do it at some point, but, like, so you have to do new colorization for Invasion of the Dinosaurs, but, like, it's not like it's gonna have that same funding as something like this because it's not like on BBC 4 they can be like, "Well, now we're gonna show
The
Doctor Who
first
and the Invasion
part.
of the
Yeah.
Dinosaurs." Yeah, and only the first part.
I hope they do the Crotons.
Do you?
No.
Yeah, because like, something Enemy of the World, and, like, Web of Fair, like, all those, like, wouldn't really those don't need a colorization.
And some of the big ones that would be really cool to see would b like Power of the Daleks, I can't do. Evil of the Da like, 'cause it's animated, it's already in color.
Yeah.
Evil of the Daleks. Daleks Master Plan is missing. Oh, but they can't do a 90-minute Daleks Master Plan.
What if they combine the animation and Doctor Who colorizations in one, Ben? That's how you save money on the animation. The episodes that we have, they colorize, and then they animate the ones we don't have.
That would be interesting.
But then again, you can't run that on BBC 4. It's like, "Okay, guys, so
Yeah, no, that's
getting ready."
a DVD if I ever heard it.
But also expensive one, like, but then I would also imagine that we're gonna get another one of these because if they gave us a second one, that means that the Daleks in color did well enough that it made them money
Yeah.
from either being on BBC 4 or it being on iPlayer, or I would imagine the DVD and Blu-ray sales probably were pretty good for it. So now they're gonna probably this one's gonna do also pretty good as I would imagine. So they're gonna want to do another one. So now it's like I'm thinking Tomb just because it's Cybermen.
Yeah.
Maybe 10th Planet if you decided just to say, all right, we still have the fourth one animated, so we're just gonna do the first three parts.
Although that animation isn't in color, so they could still colorize
Yeah.
the animation.
Which would be kind of funny. But they would also exported that in 480p, that animation.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not like we would have like a 1080p file of that.
I mean, maybe they'd be able to get that source file if that animation studio I don't think they're working with BBC still, but they
No.
might be able to still get in touch.
But then we're like it would have been like rendered out in 480p, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's like it
They still
wouldn't
might
like
have the project files.
but like honestly, I think that these people probably got out of business. I don't think they're around anymore. But if they still are, I would be shocked if they're like these probably terabytes worth of not terabytes. So like, oh no, yeah, definitely be terabytes on terabytes of footage. We're gonna keep them just in case if the BBC comes knocking.
It was Planet 55 did it.
You know, they're still in business.
Yes, they are a subsidiary of Big Finish.
All right, maybe. I don't know. I would highly doubt that they still have those terabytes worth of footage. But yeah, like what's one that you would want?
If they wanted to do, like, another Hartnell one, I don't know, that they have, you could do, like, the Time Meddler or the War Machine, the Chase.
You gotta do Dalek Invasion of Earth before you do the chase.
I guess that's true. Yeah, no, if it was Hartnell, they would just do that. But any of those 3, I would enjoy.
And then what about Trouton? Is there any Trouton that you would want?
I mean, that's mostly missing.
Yeah. So and then again, those two ones that we have. Well, we don't have Where Fair
We
Fall.
have all do we have all of the Mind Robber?
Yeah, yeah, we do.
That one would be good.
That would be cool.
Especially that first episode.
Yeah, yeah, that would work. I feel like you could also probably tie that down to a good 90-minute story.
Oh, yeah, you definitely could.
So yeah, definitely. If you're watching Benjamin Cook, please get on that Mind Robber colorization. We
Yes.
will definitely watch it and complain about the music probably.
Yeah, they're really committed to that rescoring. I don't know why.
Because it gives us the momentum and also probably helps somewhat with the edits and like the cuts and stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Because you'd be cutting the music, the original music.
Yeah.
Okay.
So join us next week. Return to our boy Tom Baker with Brandon Morbius. Hope you guys enjoy it. Please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. We're now past 100 subscribers on TikTok. How happy are you for that, Ben?
Oh, it's great. There's over 100 people that care at least a little bit
Or
about
misclick.
what we do. Or misclick and are too lazy to unfollow. I've definitely done that before.
So if you want to misclick on us, please go to Hoovy Ood on TikTok.
Yes.
Goodbye, everyone.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you had a wonderful Christmas.
Peace out.